Welcome, everybody, to our podcast, Generational Gains. This is my father, Greg Herlean, and myself, Carson Herlean. In this podcast, we talk about all things business and life in terms of each of our experiences. Him being in the real estate world, the business ownership world for a long time, and me, who's a couple years into it, just learning everything. And so we like to talk each week and go back and forth about questions we have about one another and our experiences. And we always want to start with who we are. So you guys all know, for you first listening, to learn what we do, who we are. So for myself, I for the past 2 years, I've been in the real estate space. I've been also in the banking space, meaning I teach people infinite banking, which is a strategy about how they can utilize their money more efficiently and build wealth through their own debts and expenses. It's a financial strategy I've been learning from a mentor of mine that I've now been teaching with him. And then I've been doing real estate on the side and with another company, learning how to buy real estate, learning what real estate's good, bad. And over the past couple of years, I've just been trying to figure things out, understanding my own personal finances. I recently got married, trying to figure out our life together, where we want to live, how we want to build. And so that's where I'm at right now. And we're excited to talk today about our topic. But before we do, a little intro for yourself.
I'm his dad.
That's it.
And I would add to that as well that I'm now in a mode of trying to create great experiences for my family and for those that I love. And so that's where I spend a lot of my energy. But that I still work. I still enjoy working. For me, I love teaching people how money works as well, from a different perspective, how they can use their IRA monies, how they can unlock that money and invest in things they know and like and understand. So for me, that's what I'm passionate about, mostly because most of America doesn't know they can do that. So that's where I probably focus the most. So today's topic, actually, I think Carson should bring up because it's his idea, and I think it's a great one. So go ahead.
So I was thinking about mentors and mentorships, and throughout my life thus far, who has been an example for me? Who have I learned from? And then same for him, I want to learn from him. Who's been his mentors throughout each era or step of his life that got him to where he's at? And so I was thinking about the idea, and I thought for me, which I guess I'll just answer first, my childhood was one era of my life where I felt like I didn't think about, obviously I was just a kid. I didn't think about money. I didn't think about life. It was just no responsibilities and having fun. And throughout that time, I would say my parents were probably my biggest mentors, obviously, like most people. And so I was thinking about you and what you were for me as a child and how you were a mentor to me. And I thought one of the best things I think I got from you, which you live mostly right now, like you live this really well, but the idea of work hard, play hard. I think we've talked about this before. You do it really well. You love to have fun. You love to, like you just said, build experiences and make memories for our family. But also you like when you're home, when you're working, like you work really hard to build and have those experiences. And I saw that as a kid growing up because we'd go on trips. I remember we got a new house when I was like 13, 14. That was super nice. I wasn't, expecting that. And you also were not around sometimes because you were working so hard when you were home. So I just got to see that mix and that balance. And I think you've probably got better at it over time, I'm assuming.
For sure.
And so that's been something I've been trying to take on myself is like, now that I'm married, I'm building my own family, my own businesses. I want to have fun, go on trips, have fun experiences, but also work really hard. And so that's one thing my mentor, you, when I was a child, I learned from. And so
now he's outgrown me, I think.
Yeah, now he's not a mentor anymore. Now he's just an old guy. No, but that's kind of what my childhood was for me. So I want to progress in that idea of other eras in my life. But for you, growing up, even in maybe college years and your mission, who was like the biggest mentor to you?
I'd say probably growing up for me, besides my mom, because I think a mom's always an easy one to say, and I know you feel the same way about your mom, because that's like a constant foundational person. So yeah, I know you would say that, and you feel that way, and you've talked about that, and I'd say the same with my mom. But take her out of the equation. Yeah, I would say that there was one of my best friend's father when I was in high school, and I knew him for 5 years, the longest I lived in any one place as a kid. I looked up to him because of how he spent time with his family. Mm-hmm. And I felt like he was around his family, and he also was a very successful business owner. Had nothing to do with what we do today.
Yeah.
But he was successful. He was happy. His name is Randy Robinson, and Nick Robinson. If you met my best friends, Nick. But he and his relationship with his wife, and just at the time, everything. I looked up to that because I wanted that. So I think for my first years until I went on my mission, that's somebody that was amazing.
Well, didn't you that's because your dad, he traveled a lot, or grandpa.
Well, right? He didn't travel a lot, but he
was gone a lot, working a lot.
He worked a lot.
Yeah. Which made sense.
And so I liked that lifestyle. Like, he was one that had the boat or went to Disneyland. Like, we didn't go to Disneyland.
Yeah.
And we didn't have the boat. Or I remember he was the first person, maybe this sounds silly, but like, he gave me $100 bill when we went to Disneyland. He's like, you get this for the next 3 days. It's your spending money. And I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, and so it might sound silly, but I just saw that lifestyle. And so for me, it was like the way he treated his family and the way that he lived his life was attractive to me.
Yeah. And that's probably, it influenced you to now, you as a parent, you're trying to live like that.
I wanted to give that to my kids.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So from there, did his decision or his example help you go on a mission? Was he a factor in that too? Because that was the next stepping stone in your life.
I would say my friends and family were. Okay. I surrounded myself with people that were like me, that wanted to go on missions, that were planning on serving missions. And so for me, that was, I think my friends influenced me the most, but he happened to also be someone that supported a mission as well.
Cool. That makes sense. I got you.
So you want me to go the next decade?
Yeah. What do you got next?
My next decade. I really just think it's probably, I'm just going to go by decades, really.
Yeah.
There was I remember there was this gentleman who spoke. I mean, there's just so many people that influenced me growing up. And so I could name probably 100, just like maybe you could name a lot too.
Yeah.
Of how they've touched you or what you learned from them. But once again, once I felt like I had built my business, in my 20s, I started my business. So now I'm on my own, building a family. I was feeling like had a good work-life balance, almost really living that lifestyle that gentleman taught me from a young age. But now I was like, okay, now I need to grow. Like, what's the next step? And so I remember this gentleman that was actually at a church, and he was talking, and he was giving his story. He had just retired. He was like, I think you might remember him, Dave Lovett. Mm-hmm. He got up, and I never met this guy before in my life. He gets up, and he talks about his relationship with God, his relationship with his wife, and kind of the exit of his business, and kind of how he saw his life now and how it was and where he's going. And I was just so enamored a bit by just like his message that I just felt like he's lived the life. He's 30 years ahead of me, and I wanted to he was 30 years ahead of me. So he probably had a lot of life lessons. Mm-hmm. So I remember I went up to him after he spoke, and I said, "Can I take you to lunch?" And we went to lunch literally the next week, and I just out of the blue, and I just sat with him and learned a lot about his story. And then he became kind of a mentor to me, someone that I could go to and I brought hard decisions with and investment ideas to. And he'd just give me real advice on, family life. And he was probably the next person for me.
That's really cool.
Is Dave Lovett. So yeah, what about you?
That's
What's
cool.
The next person for you after me, I think, there's only a few years after that. So your mission was next, right?
Yeah. I'm not decades. I'm more years.
Yeah.
But yeah, throughout my childhood, I then decided to go on a church mission. So I left and I lived in the country of Georgia, and I was serving people there. And in every mission, there's like a mission leader, a mission president. And he was probably the next mentor to me that helped me get to where I'm at now. So it was his leadership skills that I loved. I remember one time I got to the church building early. We had a big conference that day. He was flying in from Armenia to meet with all of us for 4 or 5 hours. And my companion and I decided to bring pizza for the conference. And so we went and picked up the pizza. We brought it in. We left it in the cardboard boxes, put it in the oven, and let it just sit there and
I remember the story.
And stay, not warm it up, just let it stay warm. So by the time everyone came, it would be warm pizza still. And we're upstairs, I think we were just reading the scriptures or something, like just prepping for what we were going to go over. And all of a sudden we started seeing smoke around, and we're like, what is that smoke? Like, that's not good. So we run downstairs, all downstairs smoky, the entire building. We go and open the oven. Both the pizza boxes are burnt, lit up. I don't even know how. They didn't even turn the oven on, but there's cardboard in an oven. And they were just charcoal. We grab them, run them outside, open up all the doors, and the mission president and his wife show up like 5 minutes later. And we're like, oh, we're screwed. Like, that was so stupid. Our fault. But he came in and he was just like so calm, so peaceful and loving. And he helped us clean it up, helped us fix it, and we moved on. And I was like, man, he just was stressed, just flew in for an event, for a conference all day, probably has all these things on his mind, things he needed to set up for himself. And he just took his time, showed love and forgiveness almost to us, grace, and helped us with what we needed to do. And so I say that story because for me, that helped me learn that to be a leader, you have to lead with love and lead with, I guess, just love, being able to help people by example and giving them support with whatever they're doing, because that helped us be more comfortable to fix it and move forward even better with that the rest of the day. And now I've just been thinking about that is how can I help my employees, my team members, my leaders even improve in their businesses or improve in their work. And I just have to lead by example and lead with love. And so that was a big lesson I learned from that mentor in my period of my life there.
That's a good one. I think that is leading with love is probably the best message of all. So
maybe that's the theme for today. We'll find out.
That's good.
But
all right.
I can continue on from there, but I feel like that lesson is so huge for being a business owner, because things are going to come your way. There's going to be problems. Like you were talking about this morning, you're going through a lawsuit with someone else again today. It's happened a few times over the past few years, and so being able to learn how to navigate those things and help your team, help your partners, and just leading by that example is probably the best thing you can do. So I know you just talked about Dave Lovett, but have any other mentors like you've had taught you that lesson of leadership and love and by example?
Well, the one that I was going to share that has been kind of a constant mentor to me for very similar reasons you just shared is Ron Levitt. Ron, who you know very well, is someone I've looked up to since I was 22 years old. Yeah. He has been a constant. And I say that as a mentor because of the person he is. He leads with love, the epitome of that. When I chose not to be totally engaged, I think, in the church, and I never felt judged by him. I always felt loved. He always wanted to make sure I was okay. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to make sure others were okay. And so even when I was doing something maybe he didn't even agree with, he didn't judge me. Mm-hmm. And that was a pretty cool lesson for me to learn for somebody too. When, I might think, Carson, you should, this is the way you should act always. And then if you act a little bit differently, I need to still love you and love you through it. And that's sometimes a hard thing to do, when you're doing something that might be contrary to what I believe or think.
Yeah.
And Ron has constantly done that. I look up to Ron. I look up the way he loves and treats his family, his business, and I'm always at peace with him. And I think that's probably the one thing that, I'm sure there's many, but the top thing that I would love for the rest of my life to work on is that when someone meets with me, they feel loved, but at peace, and just a good energy, not a crazy energy, just a good. And every time I leave Ron, if it's business, family, life, I feel at peace, and I feel like that is just something that I learned from him constantly. So that's, you know him, so you probably know what I'm saying. But we all have obstacles, and we're all on our own journey figuring out this life. But how we react to hard things, I think, is pretty critical.
We talk in our podcast a lot about money and finances and business ownership. And this conversation today has been more emotional and more that side of our behaviors and experiences. But I've been thinking about the past couple weeks, I've been so into the numbers, so into money and math and like investing. And I took a step back a few days ago and I was looking at it and I'm like, wait, like, honestly, none of that matters. Like, I don't need to be worrying about money or worrying about the investment or business. Like, none of that is it's all material. Money is just value. What really matters is like the people around me and the relationships I'm building. That means way more than the money. So I've been thinking about that lately of like, how can I still build my business and still be focused on building wealth, but like, how can I also make sure I'm providing value and building my relationships and then bringing that aspect into it too? Because that's more important altogether. Our relationships and our experiences and how our behaviors are more important than the math or money behind investing and building a business. Does that make sense?
Is that a question?
No, but just my thought. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense.
Yeah.
But I would say, if it was a question, I believe that fundamentally who you are will make you a better whatever you do. So how do you become more like what you just said? In my opinion, I mean, I go up and down where I am on track and everything's going well, and I don't care about money, but more about the business and growth and scaling, but not necessarily about the math of it.
Yeah.
But it's when I'm in check with God, my family, wife, my kids, myself. When you and if you're honest in what you're doing, you're working hard, all those fundamental things that I think a lot of times we forget. There's been days or months, I don't think years, but months where I'd get up, and the first thing I would do is work. I'd get up and I'd work. Really? And now when you're able to take a step back and work on yourself, and whatever that is, everyone's got their own things they work on. That's their self. I think that's what helps you do what you just said. I mean, that's what I found. Yeah. And this thought came because, like I said in the last podcast, I've been trying to educate myself more, read more books, listen to more things, and learn from other people more, just consume more. But it came from me reading the book called Psychology of Money. Have you read that before? No, I've never read it. It's called The Psychology of Money. I think it's kind of a recent book, a few years old. But there's a few chapters just talking about this. Like, it's about your behavior of money and your mindset of money more than money itself. Like, it doesn't matter how much you make or how little you make. It's about how your spending habits are, how you perceive your money that's going to make you wealthy. So I know a book's not a mentor, but that's been something I've been thinking about a lot lately, is like, how are those things, my behaviors and thoughts, affecting my managing of my money or business? That's good. This is going to sound cliche and might a little bit surprise you. But I feel like with school, I dropped out of college, started my business, then I went back to school. And when I went back to school, I learned more in school the second time because I had started a business. Now I can apply it. Well, I think the same things happened to me for business and a little bit of religion. When I was told I had to read the scriptures, I didn't enjoy it. Like, you got to read this much. Yeah. I think this is the cliche part. I think that the Bible, for the first time in my life, I think it is probably the best business book that there is. And the reason why is I'm reading it now with totally different with the family and business mindset. And so when you're getting to see, I mean, there's negotiations happening in the Bible, how people negotiate in the Bible, how they're loving others and forgiving others and growing, and they're scaling. I mean, they're scaling their cities. I mean, and so there's pride involved and greed and service. And so, anyways, I've been really, I think, for the first time in my life, because I've had the scriptures in my life my whole life. Now, because no one's telling me to read it, and I took a season off of reading it, I read it so slow, and I like really dive into it, and I think it's one of the best business books out there. It's helping me in my life. Yeah. So sounds.
No, I like that.
I'm not trying to be all religion-like, but I think it's a good one. So
yeah.
So I think mentors and books and just bettering yourself are all great habits. And so anything else, Carson, before we wrap up, you wanted to share?
No, you ended it perfectly. I think that was really good, ending on having that foundation of God being first, being able to, like you said, bet on yourself and focus on your relationships more than the actual business is huge. So that's great. And as our Generational Gains podcast listeners, you all know we end with sweet, sour, and service each episode. So do you want to go first?
Sure. I'm going to take your sweet.
No, we'll do our sweet together. Okay.
We'll do our sweet together. My sour, it's funny. We didn't talk about this beforehand, but we both know what the sweet is.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll say at the end.
No, we know.
My sour is just had there's some moving I had to do this weekend, and it was a very busy weekend of moving and a lot of work and energy. So it's never fun to move. And so I was doing some moving. That was my sour for sure. My service was I took a neighbor to dinner this weekend, and it was really nice. And he really appreciated it. So, and I enjoyed my dinner. What is your sour in your service?
My sour, I don't know if I have any this week.
Good.
Life's good right now.
Life's good. I should have said the court thing. That was a sour this morning.
Yeah. No, I don't know about a sour today. My service is last night or 2 nights ago. Anna and I came over to your house and helped you unpack everything. You moved, you brought a bunch of stuff here, and we helped bring everything in for you.
That was a very nice service. Thank you, guys.
So, yeah. And our sweets. So we're big Vegas Golden Knights fans. And NHL playoffs just started. So game 1 of the playoffs was last night. We both watched it, and the Knights won.
That's our sweet. Go Knights, go.
Go Knights, go. And you're going to play again next week. We're going to try and go to it too. So we're pumped about it.
Yep, that was definitely our sweet. Well, thanks for listening today and talking about mentors. I know if you're listening and you have mentors, let them know how much you appreciate them. I think that goes a long way. I think sometimes people have told me I'm their mentor. Not a lot, but it's happened a couple times, and it really feels good. I had no idea. And so let your mentors know that you love them and appreciate them.
Actually, real quick, I have one more question for you.
Okay.
You just brought it up, another question. So most of the rest of your life, you're probably going to be a mentor to a lot of other people. So what do you want those people to look up to you for? And what do you want people to be looking at you as a mentor for?
Okay. Well, first, I still feel like I will always have mentors in my life. And I think also as I get older, you kids become people I look up to as well. The way you live your life is something that will make me want to be a better person as well. But taking that away as far as like in general, like what do I hope? For me, I've learned a lot of tough lessons along my life journey. I've lived probably half my life. Hopefully, I've lived half my life. Hopefully, I have another half left. And I've learned things a lot the hard way. I've lost a lot, not just money, but relationships. And so I want to be known and those that look up to me as someone who loves and forgives. I want someone that knows that I work hard and I will make it through anything and stay positive. And so that's what I want my kids to know, is about working hard, about being a good person. I want anyone that knows me, like, this guy is a friend. He listens. And I think that's probably maybe the best answer, is he listens, because I don't think people do that. I think that people who care about you will ask questions. If they're not asking questions about you, it feels like they don't care. So I want people to know that I care, that I listen, and I love them, and lead with love. Jess has taught me that really well. And I've learned that through loss of love and through hurt. So I want to be known as someone who loves hard, works hard, and plays hard, but loves hard and forgives and does not judge. Because I've been judged. I've been, for good or bad reasons, I've been there, and I want to be that to others.
I love it.
So,
that's great. Thanks for sharing that. Well, thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks for listening.